Hello, everyone. I'm Carla Italiano. I'm one of the programmers of forumdoc BH, the documentary and ethnographic film festival of Belo Horizonte, now celebrating its 29th edition. And we have as the opening film with Hasan in Gaza, com Hasan in Gaza, by filmmaker Kamal Aljafari, who's very generous act of accepting to talk to us a little bit about the film and its process. And we've screened some of Kamal's previous films in the festival in different editions, and we've been following your work with great admiration and interest. And now it's very important to us, this decision to make this most recent film as the opening film of the festival, since it aligns with a lot of the ideas and the commitments we share towards images and filmmaking and documentary filmmaking specifically. And also because of its how the film illuminates, and it's illuminated by the present context of what's happening, what we have been witnessing, not just from October 23 until now, but also this previous decades and centuries of what the ongoing project of extermination in Palestine and specifically in Gaza. So we're very pleased to have the film and to have you talk to us, and also how I just wanted to stress how the film is very powerful to us in many ways, and mainly because of how it can capture the everyday life and its joys and poetry also, not just the dynamic of violence that's present, but specifically how this idea of life is very moving in many ways. So thank you, Kamal.
Thank you. I'm very happy to show my work with you again. It has become a tradition. So, and specifically with this film, I'm very, I'm very happy that we have the chance to show it in Brazil and to engage with people about, the situation in Palestine and in Gaza, but also about the human condition.
Thank you. I'm just going to pass it on to Carol Almeida, who's going to ask the first question, and we'll just move on from there. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Kamal. Just like you said, it has become a tradition at this point. Glad to be talking with you again. So the first question that we had a text that is published in the catalog of this edition of forumdoc, and the title of the conversation that Carla and I had while thinking about your film is Images That Demand to Be Seen. This was a film you made without knowing you made it. And at some point, those tapes kind of looked at you and asked to be seen. We also noticed at various points in the film, children asking to be filmed or photographed so that they can have an image. As someone who is obviously so attentive to things within the image that often go unnoticed by many people, how do these requests reach you? How do this, it has some sort of spirituality in it, I think. I mean, the tapes demanding you to look at them.
The making of this film is really something that came to me, I would say, as a surprise and also as a gift. And when I discovered that this one tape that had the writing on it with Hasan in Gaza in Arabic, I was thinking what art and filmmaking can do in this time, in time of mass killings and total destruction of a society. And I did not have an answer. And I, discovered this tape that I did not know, in fact, what it contains. I couldn't even recognize my handwriting on it. I thought someone gave it to me. And then, I went to the company where I could play the tape because it was a mini DV. And I watch and I see images in Gaza, and still I could not remember what it was exactly until the moment that I appear in the image when I hand the camera to Hasan to film me. And then slowly I started remembering. So, the discovering of this tape began with not remembering, and then it becomes a film about remembering. And then I discovered two more tapes that had no labeling on, that belonged to this trip, that I did on the 1st and 2nd of November, 2001. I was already studying in Cologne at the Art Academy, and I came back to visit my family, and I took with me a mini DV camera, and I did this trip in Gaza. Wasn't really clear to me whether I'm making a film or, it was a kind of research for an idea for a film that I might make one day. And this trip was about, finding a person that I met in prison from Gaza. And slowly, Hassan, my guide, who was working as a fixer, in fact, for foreign delegations and journalists, he was guiding me and taking me to different places in Gaza. So in a way, this film, this material was made in collaboration with him. The discovery of the material was really almost like the discovery of life after death. It is really the nature, the force of nature, that suddenly there was documentation, there was images of Gaza that no longer exist. And for me, I want to believe, and I do believe, that this is a sign of nature, images resisting erasure, and finally as well resisting colonialism. So this trip, I was filming as I was looking. I was a beginner, so the camera work, as you see it in the film, is very intuitive. I would just follow, and I was, encountering people, all sorts of people, and also many children that unlike the adults that were already aware of the danger of the camera as a tool of control, the children were, innocent, and they just wanted to be filmed. So I basically followed everything that was happening, and I was asked to film. And I think, in a way, this film made me believe again in the documentary, because I was slowly kind of losing faith in this form. Um, and when I watched the film today, of course, there is something that is really very, very powerful in image making that are of reality.
Thank you for your answer, Kamal. And I just want to pick something up from what you said and Carol asked. We really wanted to hear you about a specific sequence of the film regarding this matter that you were talking about, of when you film this, of when we hear this little girl on some part of the place that you're filming, and she's saying, "Film me so I have an image, so I have a picture."
We can't really see her. She's behind this kind of opaque surface, but we hear her request. And this sequence has, as I believe, become the trailer of the film that's been circulating. So to us, it seems it's a very important passage also because it kind of synthesizes in a way the very idea of the project of the film, perhaps, or this idea of filmmaking, of how these people are not filmed to be an image, but they want to have an image that's corresponded to the complexity of their existences, and to be an agents of their own lives and images, not just objects. And it would be great if you could talk a little bit about that, and also how this sequence is very powerful because of what we don't see, how the invisible part of these images is what it's calling us into. And if you can talk a bit about that.
I mean, this specific sequence, an encounter in the film, is really, for me, still is the most painful one to watch. And I remember when we finished almost finished the mixing of the sound mixing of the film, we did a test screening in the cinema, and I suddenly, I had tears because watching this sequence, because I realized the importance of what happened. What kind of message was existing, and survived so many years, almost 24 years, that this image was existing, that I did not even know about it. And there's something really so mysterious, and yet almost part of life and life itself, that this happened. And I think, again, I believe that really these images, they are really a sign against erasure, that erasure will never succeed, and I'm truly always touched by these encounters with the children, knowing as well, that the people of Gaza, specifically, and in general, of course, the people of Palestine, they're really the most dignified people. And in this last 2 years, witnessing, the killings and the abuse and the destruction, it's really something very, very painful, because the people of Gaza, they are, as you see in the film, they are the most gentle and welcoming people. So this image for me really is something that is so haunting, and I really want to believe that all these faces that we see in the film are alive, and they are still alive, and they exist. And making this film gave me this hope, in the midst of destruction and the genocide in Palestine.
Well, yes, I think I'd like to talk a little bit about what happens at the end of the film, because I think it relates to what you just mentioned. I mean, the quality of life surrounded also by death. In some of your previous films, like An Unusual Summer and a Fidai film, obviously, the usage of the written word is a very important part of what is being shown and what is being hidden as well. And with Hasan in Gaza, apart from the words that are inscribed within the image, there are also those cards at the end when you remember, and obviously remembering is a very important thing here, your relation with Gaza, and we end up understanding why you were, looking for that missing person at the beginning of the film. But what catches my attention is the use of the graphic structure of palimpsests in these cards. And the idea of a palimpsest seems to me at least, to be perhaps the closest image to these cycles of destruction and resistance when we talk about Palestine. So I'd like to hear you a bit more about these words that are written on top of each other, always leaving a trace of their existence in the process of erasing them.
Yeah, I mean it is very much inspired as well by what you see in the film. You know, there are lots of graffitis. I mean, there are lots of sequences where you know we are traveling through the streets of Gaza City, refugee camps, and the streets, the walls are full of graffiti, which is you know, has a very rich and long tradition in Palestine, in the Palestinian resistance, um, writing and putting there, you know, this art of resistance has been really a very strong element in the Palestinian culture, contemporary culture. And the film starts from, you know, as I was saying before, from not remembering, because I truly did not remember. You know, it's something that, of course, existed within me, but I needed to discover these tapes to remember. You know, these tapes needed to find me to remembering and also sharing these memories with you. And, you know, it is related to the fact that in fact these memories, they are really one part of something which is bigger. I mean, I'm sure if I would talk today about my prison experience and my memories with Gaza, I will remember more things and other things. So having the traces is something which is related to the way this film is made, the way this film came to me in this very crucial time of Palestinian existence or non-existence. And layering them one upon the other, for me, was really a language that was very much, yeah, somehow organic with the nature of this film, with the discovery of this film as a trace that resisted time and also resisted, you know, disappearance. And this is exactly what the occupation and the Zionist project has been engaged with for so long, you know, for more than 1 century. And for me, this project, you know, the fact that they are still occupying Palestine, still in the process of occupying Palestine, it's in fact a sign of their failure. Imagine, you know, they have been doing that for so long, and occupying, reoccupying every year. They come up with new methods, and the fact that they are still doing it with of course the tragic and high price of lives in Palestine is a sign that they are failing, and they will completely fail eventually. And I think this is something very important to understand, because it has no future. You know, it is something that is so clear in the case of Palestine, that yes, there has been oppression and occupation all these years, for more than 1 century, but also there has been always resistance. There was no moment in the Palestinian history that there was no resistance against this project. And this resistance always finds new ways, you know, to exist and to basically maintain Palestine as a place, as a country, and as a nation. And again, you know, when I made this film, for me, this was a sign of hope as well, because you realize that erasure will never succeed.
Yes, it's great to hear you talk and talking about this very complex temporal dimension of the film and how the resistance will always be there in different ways. There's one specific choice that you made in the film that we would love to hear you talk a bit more, is about preserving the chronology of what was being filmed in terms of the editing of the film. Like in conventional filmmaking, we learned that you have to intervene, manipulate, create, a certain type of narrative that will attract the spectator, and you decide in a very unusual and bold, courageous way to preserve that. And it's also an act of preserving those lives and that everyday dynamic and the places and the people and their interactions and throughout the film. And related to that preservation of the chronology is also how Hasan appears to you as a kind of a guide and not just uh, throughout the territory, but also in terms of filmmaking as well. So, he tells you to, be patient, just wait, and you will see. And so that those lessons and those two things, the preservation of the time, the chronology of the events, and also this relation to Hasan as a kind of a guide, also in terms of film, is something that very interesting to think of. A different another way, another approach towards filmmaking specifically, and how this challenges our usual conceptions of what is to film, to edit, to direct, to be an author, etc., etc. Just if you can talk a bit more about that.
When I was started watching, I quickly realized this is something that I cannot change. The decision of keeping the same order of the shots was, clear to me right from the beginning. Simply as well because every time I thought about removing something, it was really like participating in this erasure that the colonizers, want to achieve and are committing, huge crimes. And um, in this case, my choice between, making a film, editing, and life, of course, I have chosen life. And I wanted, all these images to, be alive and to exist, and people watch them and see them. And every face that you see there, there is a value. In every place in every corner, in every pan, there is a value. And this is, in fact, of course, is questioning the way we make films, in which we film a lot, and then we make a selection, and then we put images in a certain order. In this case, the order was already existing. This film was making itself alone for the last 24 years, and it's beyond me, it's beyond my comprehension as a filmmaker, as a human being. It's really is a force of nature, in a sense that it has to exist the way it was found. It is a found film. It is an object that survived all the destruction, all the crimes, and it's an object that resists all of that, and it also resists the conventional cinema and cinema as a tool of capitalism. So in this case, the simplicity of the way this film was made, or this materials was made as a travelogue, is taking us back really to the origin of cinema as a tool to capture time, to freeze time, and to maintain memory. And this was really at the core of filmmaking and image making. This is not what has become of it. As a medium of entertainment and control and in the case, of course, of fiction, American cinema as a tool of destruction and controls of others. And cinema has played really a huge role in that, American cinema specifically. So in this case, making these choices was very natural to me. It wasn't something that I struggled in kind of deciding upon. It was really automatic. And, Hasan, in a way, is my, watching the film today, he is my first teacher, of making films, because he um, guided me, and to places, but also he was, telling me all the time, to be patient, and filmmaking is really about being patient, about waiting. And the sequence at his home, at night, is the sequence where, in fact, you can see that so clearly, where I am standing there with the camera, and time passes and not much is happening, and he keeps telling me that I should wait. And this is where you understand, art is not about excitements and happenings that are confined into a film that has to be 90 minutes, because this is how these people, in distributions or big companies, think, oh, this is the capacity of human being to focus, etc. Um, you know, Putting the camera there, and not editing and not changing the order of the shots, and having things as they were found, making you, in fact, participate in this film and be with the people, and also have the empathy that we should all have with any oppressed people and any difficult situation that we are watching, which is not really the case when we watch films that are structured uh, in a dramatic, like turning them into a drama. Why do we need to turn things into a drama? Why life itself is the drama, is the biggest drama.
Yeah, thank you. We have just a few minutes left. Maybe Carol wants to say something and ask, and then we can finalize.
I think I have one last question from my part. You started this conversation telling us there's been a growing solidarity in film festivals, concerning Palestine films. I'd like for you to talk a little bit about what kind of off-screen content you've been witnessing, in film festivals around the world, and you're traveling a lot with this film. Those film festivals dealing with images of Palestine and especially Gaza over these last 2 years. I was reading yesterday because Cahiers du Cinema has just published a cover story on images of Gaza and how this affects cinema itself. And I would like to understand your interpretation as a filmmaker who has been working with radical language for many years, talking about Palestine. What has been, if anything is changing these last 2 years, concerning those film festivals? Obviously, we are talking about, boycotting some things, some structures. You just mentioned cinema as a tool to capitalism. This is about it. So I'd like to understand what has been going in the perspective of you as a filmmaker in these film festivals.
We are still in the process. I mean, it's not something that I would say, completed, in a sense that this solidarity that exists within people, and we can, see it in festivals, and also by the fact that there is a growing interest in in Palestinian cinema in general, and specifically, with Hasan in Gaza. And it is an interest that actually started from the bottom, meaning, workers of film festivals and cinema in general, creators. And we can see the difference between like big festivals, like the so-called A festivals, and the rest. So these big festivals, they still try to kind of claim wanting to be balanced, having the two sides, etc., as if there are two sides here. While there are many, many other festivals that are more kind of, local, and they're not the major ones that we know about, like Cannes and Berlin and Venice. They are more attentive to a Palestinian voice and to Palestinian narratives. I saw this cover, like the articles that were published in the Cairo Cinema, and I find it very disappointing, and it's kind of ridiculous, actually. And the position of Cairo Cinema is a position which can be understood only within the French colonial gaze on us, on Palestinians, on the Arab world, on Africa. And they haven't managed really to do any progress in that. And they did a whole campaign promoting an Israeli film, by having this Israeli film on their cover, having like endless pages, 3 times more pages on this Israeli film that is all about Israeli victimhood. And it's, for me, is really so shocking that they have no sense of reflection of what they are doing. And it's and these kind of few pages that they devoted for Gaza, they were like 5 pages. It's ridiculous.
And they refuse to talk about Palestinian cinema in those pages.
As well,
This is the most absurd thing to me. I mean, they start talking the first text in that issue of Cahiers du Cinema is to talk about that Israeli film.
Yeah,
they start talking about it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really it is ridiculous. I have no other word than saying that, and I hope these people will listen to me, because they don't live in this world, and they don't understand what has been going on among people. And there is a process, and I want to emphasize there's a huge solidarity with Palestine, and a lot among young people. And I think also there is a generational aspect that we have to talk about. There is a generation, the new generation, that actually it wants to, to cope and deal with the colonial past of Europe, which is horrific. I mean, Europe has colonized the entire world. I mean, look at what they have done. I'm talking about the last couple of hundreds of years. The amount of crimes that they committed is, unbelievable. It's not something that we can even start to understand. And still, the power centers in Europe still are doing the same by not acknowledging, Israel as a colonial project, as a continuation of their colonialism, that caused the world so much suffering, so much tragedies, of displacing people, of killing entire nations. And this solidarity that is growing around Palestine, of course, it's never enough. And film festivals, the major ones, they still refuse to accept, to understand that they have entirely to stand by the Palestinians and by their narrative, and not to give a place to Israeli victimhood. Um, that is really watching it today is so shocking. I mean, what is so important about giving a place and giving a stage to what the Israelis are feeling today? I don't care about that. I mean, I cannot have solidarity with you and feelings with you if you are still occupying a people and still, making them hungry, stealing their land, preventing them from going to cultivate the olive trees and making olive oil, as basic as that. And this is so, like, Palestine is so important. And I think as important as really coping with the entire history of Europe of genocides and destruction of so many places in this world. It is really so upsetting because you realize they don't understand anything,
They don't.
They don't, after all of that, after like mass killing of like thousands of children, systematically, and still they are not able, a magazine like that, which is considered to be an important magazine, is not able to give a proper respect to these people.
Mm-hmm.
It's insulting, actually. And when I will meet some of these people working there, I'm gonna tell them that, they can think whatever they want about me, but I'm gonna tell them this, Yeah.
I'm glad I asked that question because I was really pissed about
No,
that.
it's like unbelievable. It's ridiculous. They're really, yeah. Yeah.
You want to say something, Carol?
No, that's it. I mean, I'm glad I asked that because as I was reading, I was, this is not true. This cannot be real. Like,
No, it's a joke. It's a horrible joke.
Yeah, I mean, we only had this this very short amount of time to talk about so many things. We would, have so many other questions, but maybe that can come in the future, perhaps when you come to
With
Brazil,
pleasure.
or
yeah.
future conversations about the film. And I guess this final, topic that you were talking about, we were talking about from the Cahiers du Cinema also reveals how your films, and perhaps with Hasan in Gaza, is also, traveling throughout these festivals and changing and being changed by this different context. And it's interesting to go from that film to all this idea of film festivals and film circulation and how that should be affected by what's going on in Gaza. And yeah, just thank you so much for
Thank you.
talking.
And we keep in touch. And yeah, good luck with the festival. Hopefully next time I will be with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to
Thank
say
you so much
Thank
for
you,
your work.
Kamal.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.